Hello everybody, welcome back to the Cess Arcade. I'm Scorpio Caesar. We're already past like the halfway point in the year of 2022, and this is something I don't do very often. I've actually finished some games this year already. Yes, big surprise. I've actually completed, well, not 100%, but completed and finished some of the games that I'm going to be talking about today, and I'm going to try to keep this spoiler-free as possible. It might be unavoidable in some spots, but in post-production, if I find any spoilers that somehow slip by, don't worry, I'll edit them out. Anyways, that being said, you know what time it is. It's time to
get ready.
First things first, I want to talk quickly about AI, the Somnium Files, Part 1. This is the first game in the series, Nirvana Initiative being the second one that just came out recently. Yeah, so I finished this around December, late December of last year, and I wanted to include it in this list.
Oh my gosh! Late. You're late.
Fantastic game. One of the best games I've ever played in terms of like a visual novel murder mystery game. This one has it all. So many twists and turns, and the humor in here is very much appreciated, especially considering the dark tones that it does take at certain points in the story. I love the characters, absolutely fell in love with the voice cast in English. The English voice cast is amazing for this game.
Nom 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 nom.
Tessa, what are you doing?
And I cannot suggest it enough. If you're a fan of visual novel style games and murder mystery games, similar to like even like the Zero Escape series, same director, you gotta check out AI, the Somnium Files, and its sequel, because the sequel, from what I've played so far, I heard is even better than the first one.
Thank you for the delicious soup.
What kind of soup was it?
Elephant.
What did you say?
Elephant.
Next game that I finished in 2022 was Shenmue. Yeah, I know, I'm like 20 years late for this one, but I gotta say, this game definitely took me by surprise. Now, aside from the fact that I played it all these years later, the game isn't as groundbreaking as it was back when it first released. However, just playing it now and seeing just how amazing this world was realized on the Dreamcast is still mind-blowing to this day. Like, for its time, this game was doing things that nobody ever saw in video games at that point. And I really do appreciate everything that it did. However, there were some bumps in the road when it came to this one. Now, if you've seen any of my Dreamcast videos, you know I made mention of this in the past. The Dreamcast that I have, unfortunately, the disk drive has issues. So with that, and Shenmue in particular, this was a big buzzkill. I had to turn the Dreamcast upside down in order to get this game to run at all. And even with that, for some reason, there was something wrong with the discs themselves, where the game would just sometimes freeze up on loading screens. And it was a nightmare. I swapped out the disk drive on the Dreamcast. It didn't seem to help that much, so I figured it was something with the discs themselves. I ordered some replacement discs for cheap, and, well, let's just say I got up to the part which is around disc 3, where you have to start working with the forklifts. And anybody who knows Shenmue knows the infamous forklifts. Not many people enjoy that part of the game. It's kind of a slog. Pacing of the game slows down dramatically at that point, and I can see where some people kind of got turned away in this part of the game. But for me, I powered through it because I wanted to see how the story played out. And I was glad I did. However, and this is on me as well. When I went to go save at a certain point, I was like 2 days before you actually get the forklift job, it froze on me, which means I had to redo those 2 days and all the events leading to it to get the forklift job. I did like the first 2 days of the forklift job, and when I went to go save the game, for some reason, the game decided to just freeze when it was saving. It froze when it was saving, which means that my save data was corrupted. I did everything in my power to try to get back into that save file, but nothing was happening. It just didn't want to load up anymore. At this point, you would think I'd just say, F it, I don't want to play through this game anymore, it's not worth it. However, that's not how I am. So at that point, I just kind of gave up on the Dreamcast version, and this kind of sucked because I felt like playing it on the Dreamcast is the most pure experience you can get. So what did I do? I went to the Xbox Marketplace on my Xbox One X to see if I could find the game digitally, you know, the HD remasters. And lo and behold, they were on sale, so I only paid like $5 for part 1 and part 2 digitally. And you know me, I like my games physical. I don't care for digital downloads or digital versions of games. However, in this case, I kind of had to bite the bullet here because I wasn't gonna wait for a physical edition of Shenmue 1 and 2 Remastered to come into the mail. I figured, let me just start off from here, from scratch. So thankfully, I already knew everything that I had to do to get back to the point that I was. However, that was like 9 or so hours it took me to get there. That being said, I shrunk it down dramatically to like maybe 2 hours to get back to the forklift part in the HD remasters, and I continued with it and I finished the game. I really liked how the story played out. However, if you've played Shenmue before, you know this is how it goes. This is not a complete story. The Shenmue games are telling an epic tale, and each Shenmue game, 1, 2, and the most recent release being 3, are leading up to the climax, which may not be till Shenmue 4 or 5 if those ever get made. And I'm really hoping that they do, because I've started Shenmue 2 on the HD remastered version, and from what I played so far, the town in China that you're in is huge, and it definitely makes you feel like a foreigner because everything feels and looks different, sounds different, and I really want to get further into it. However, I'm not enjoying it as much as I enjoyed Shenmue 1. I think time will play into that, and I'll probably end up enjoying it more since I heard that's the superior game. But there's something about the first Shenmue that was just magical, and I really do enjoy the first game. So if you haven't played Shenmue yet, play it the HD remaster if you're curious, because that's probably the cheapest and best way to go. Because you don't want to deal with some of the problems I had with these guys. Oh lord. Next up on games that I finished in 2022, I finally finished a JRPG, this time for Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Dana. I made a video about this months ago about how much I loved this game. It was kind of like a first impressions video. That's basically all it was. But when a game hits me with a great first impression, and this one certainly did, it made me want to continue playing the game. The twists and turns in the story was very compelling, and the characters, I loved them all, especially Dana herself. I powered through the game. I took a little break from it at some point, which was probably like 2 or 3 months of a break, and I played some other things before I finally decided to dive into it and finish it. And I can say, getting the true ending in this game, I really did enjoy it. It was definitely worth the time invested, and time isn't something that I can come by easily these days, especially when it comes to a game like a JRPG like Ys 8. But I really did enjoy my time with it, and I highly suggest for anybody who's interested in the Ys series, you could pretty much start with any of them, but definitely check out Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Dana. I know it's coming out on the PS5 very soon, and it came out on the Vita, it came out on the PS4, Switch. It's a little harder to come by, but if you're a digital downloader, probably get it on sale or something, because this game has to be one of the best JRPGs I've ever played. It's very action focused, so it's not turn-based, it doesn't slow down the pacing. This game, I powered through it, kept powering through it, and I got through it. It took me like maybe 30 or so hours, but what a journey this was. Story-wise, one of the best ones I've ever experienced. I was pretty sad during the end. It was kind of a bittersweet ending, but definitely worth experiencing. And I gotta say, man, the final boss in this game, had me on the ropes. This was a pretty easy game to play through. The bosses were challenging, but nothing that I couldn't handle. However, it got to the point at the very end, and if you played this game, you know what I'm talking about. I had only so many healing items prepared for this final boss fight, and my gosh, the other healing items that I had were the food items. So the food items had a cooldown period that you can only use them once that cooldown period, expires. So the battle's taking place and I'm running out of actual healing items, so I have to rely on the food items. My 2 other party members go down, and in battle you cannot swap out with some of the other party members. You're just stuck with those 3. I was down to Adel with a cooldown period, and the final boss was giving me hell. And I was almost dead, and I finished it. I completed it. I beat the final boss, and it was one of the most satisfying experiences that I've ever had in a video game, period. I even had it recorded on my Switch because I was so proud of it, and if you would like to see that, it'll be popping up right here, right now, with a little bit of a spoiler warning.
My turn now!
Isn't that insane? That was just crazy. What a hell of a game. Great story, great characters, amazing voice cast. Definitely check out Issei, Lacrimosa of Dana if you haven't already. And I'll stop talking about this game already because it is definitely legendary and one to savor. Next up, I'm going to talk a little bit about Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, I really did enjoy the first Red Dead Redemption. I really loved the characters and I loved the storyline. I was looking forward to the sequel finally coming out, and I did play some of it when I got my Xbox One X. It came with the game, so I played through a few hours of it to check it out. I really love how they expanded the gameplay and made it a lot deeper. There was a lot more customization in there, and so many more side quests. The problem is with a game like this is that it really does become overwhelming over time. So I had to take a break from it, and of course I lent it to my father because he loved the first Red Dead Redemption. However, nowadays he doesn't really play video games anymore, so it was hard to get him into this one since it's such a bigger game. But I was like, you know what? I think it's time to get back into Red Dead 2 and finally finish it. And I'm so glad I did. Now, in terms of the main character, Arthur Morgan himself, I was a bit apprehensive when it was focused more on him than John Marston. I wanted to see John Marston back in Dutch van der Linde's gang, and you do get that in this one, but you do play mostly as Arthur Morgan in the game. And let's just say I ended up coming out of this game liking Arthur more than John, and that's because the incredible storytelling and fantastic voice acting work. This game is a full package, it's legendary. Alright, if you like the first Red Dead Redemption, this is that and more. And it really made me want to go back to finish the first Red Dead with my wife because she never got to experience the story for that one. So now that she experienced the story for this one and the epilogue, it's going to be kind of interesting to see how she thinks of the first game. I'm kind of hoping they do go back and remake the first one with this updated engine and all the gameplay improvements and quality of life stuff that they introduced here. However, it seems like, I don't know, Rockstar is not exactly the company that they were back when they made this. So yeah, it's unfortunate that Rockstar is no longer in the same place. However, I gotta say, man, if you haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2, definitely check it out. It is so worth playing through, and it's such a fantastic game. And it's definitely one that I'm returning to kind of finish off some of the side quests that I missed out on. And yeah, this is definitely one for the history books. What an amazing game. And last but not least, I want to talk about the Forgotten City on the Xbox One. This made it into my Games of the Year list last year. However, while I did play a lot of it, I didn't finish it at the time. I'm finally happy to say I finished the game, completed it. I got all 4 endings, and this game I still remember back when it was a Skyrim mod, and I played it on the Xbox One at the time, enjoyed that mod, and I really liked the storyline for it and how well done it was. So for the developers of that mod, that Skyrim mod, to take it and turn it into their own game, it's like a dream come true for them, I'm sure. And I was really happy to be able to purchase it and enjoy it myself, because, and it was cool because they're allowed to have their freedom by not having to rely on what's established in the Skyrim engine. Basically create their own and then just completely rejuvenate it, change the setting, a bit of the story as well, and make it a much better package than the mod in Skyrim. So if you would like to experience one of the best mystery stories ever made, definitely check out The Forgotten City. It's got to be played by more people, and more people need to talk about it. This still has one of the best endings in any game that I've ever played. It was so satisfying to see how it came full circle at the end. You can tell that this game was developed by a very small team. Like, there is some texture pop in, there are some stutters in the game itself where it kind of stops and loads assets as you're walking through it. Mind you, I am playing it on the Xbox One X, so I'm not exactly sure. It's apparently optimized for the Series X and S if you have those systems. I'm not sure how it is on PlayStation systems. The Switch version you can pass on because that's a cloud version, not worth playing. Definitely play this game if you have the chance though, because it is one of the best stories I've ever got to experience, and despite having very minimal gameplay and actual combat in it, it's definitely worth experiencing. So if you haven't checked out The Forgotten City, please do. It is one of the best games I've ever experienced in terms of storytelling. I absolutely love this game. I can't talk about it enough. So anyways, that's it for the games that I've completed so far this year in 2022. I hope to make one towards the end of the year with more games. Hopefully I can finish some more. I definitely got to go back and finish Dragon Quest XI. That's a game that I put on hold so I could get into Ys 8, and I gotta finish that one. There's a ton of other games that I would like to finish soon, like Sly Cooper as well, that I do plan on finishing. So anyways, thanks for watching this episode, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed it. Share your thoughts in the comment section below if you've completed any of these games before, and what are your thoughts on them. Try to keep it as spoiler free as possible, and of course, thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate you all for tuning in, and I'll see you all very soon. Alright? Peace.